Hello everyone, and welcome back to All Things Frugal and Fabulous. So today I wanted to talk about how I've been told that things are not made to last anymore, or they're not made the same as they were before. And although I don't entirely agree, I don't entirely disagree either. But so these are my opinions on this subject. So the first thing that I will say though is that I truly think that our mentality has changed over the past 50, 80 years. So I think that has a lot to do with why we think things aren't made to last a long time anymore. But I'll get into that. And the next thing is that I don't truly think that when people are making things or when they were being made, that the whole intention was that it would, last forever. Although I will say that I guess way back when things were, I think the quality was a lot better. I will agree on that. But that is only because of the materials being used. They didn't have plastic before. So a lot of our cars nowadays, not everything, but the majority of a car is plastic now. The bumpers, the interior, everything is plastic. And plastic is cheap. Whether it's a good quality plastic or a cheaper plastic, plastic is cheap. I just find that with plastic, although it is, supposed to be indestructible and last forever, it is one of the worst materials because especially if you're in a colder climate, it just cracks so easy at the tiniest little touch with and it'll crack. And with plastic, you can't weld it back together like metal or pound it out and make it, into, a new bumper. But if you get rear-ended or something and your entire bumper is cracked, well, that's it. That you can't fix it. You have to replace the entire bumper. And even like our everything now is mostly computerized, like our stoves and ovens, and those computerized components are not as easy to repair as it used to be with stoves that you could just go out and buy parts or fix those parts to make them work. It just doesn't work like that anymore. So in that sense, yeah, I do agree that things were made better. Things were made to be repaired before. It's not that they were made to last forever, but you could much more easily repair them and keep using them rather than go through all the hard work. And things are more expensive to repair now because of the computerized components. So there is that. But moving on, as I said, we have a very, very plastic. We live in a very plastic world. Everywhere you look, there is plastic. And we live in a very disposable, replaceable world. That's just our mentality now, and it never used to be that way. We buy things just to throw them in the garbage. Think about that for a minute. We buy things just to throw them in the garbage. Paper towels, even specific paper serviettes, plastic cutlery, and plastic paper plates. Everything that you can possibly think of, there is a disposable version of it, and there's just the disposable versions do sell. And it's absolutely insane. They never had that back then. They bought things to own and reuse them. They didn't buy cutlery just so that they could throw it in the garbage. And so, yeah, we definitely live in a very disposable world, and we treat things as disposable or replaceable. Everything is replaceable, but that costs. And that's why I think I wrote this video years ago already, but it's even more important now, considering with all the price raises right now. So it is really important to take care of what we had and to really think about all the things we're throwing in the garbage. The other thing is, who nowadays actually, when we buy something new or even used, looks up the manual? If you buy something used, you go online and look up the manual and figure out how to maintain it, and because everything that you buy has a maintenance schedule or a maintenance routine that should be kept. But most people do not saying nobody, but most people do not read the entire manual from front to back and actually do what it says to do. And not only that, people use things properly and lightly. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you are rough on things, they will wear out faster and break also if you're not like banging your cupboard shut, or I don't know. Especially with kids too, if you don't teach them to be gentle with things, they tend to break things, right? But even for adults, I know quite a few adults that are really rough on their things. And so this goes for everything, not just your large electronics and appliances, but even your small appliances like kettles and slow cookers, and even just everything, even your dishes and your chairs. If you have, I have a wooden rocking chair. I have to oil it to keep it young, even though it is super old, and I got it out of a condemned house. And it is still rocking. The other thing is that we have not only live in a replaceable, disposable world, we live in a very upgrading trend. We always find or want the next best thing, the next trend of clothing, the next best phone. It's faster. Computers, cars, furniture, toys. Basically everything has a better version of the version that you have, right? And it doesn't take long before there's something else better coming out. And it is really hard. It's impossible to keep up. But there are people that try, and it is a very exhausting and pricey thing to do, and they call it keeping up with the Jones because it's almost impossible. Then, there's where your tastes change. So when we go out and buy clothes or furniture or home decor, are we thinking how it's going to fit us or look in our homes in 20 or 30 years from now? Most of the time, that's not really what's on our mind, right? I mean, I know when I was younger and I went shopping, like clothes shopping, I wasn't thinking, oh, is this gonna look good on me when I'm 40? Most people don't. But, I mean, there are lots of articles of not just clothing, but furniture and decor that if you can buy a neutral color couch And just, if you feel like color sometimes, or not color, you could just buy or make throw pillow covers and change them up. So sometimes if you just want a neutral palette, then have neutral. Or if you feel like color, make some blues, yellows, and oranges and reds and put them. But there's always a way to keep up with your changing tastes without having to completely renovate or buy new things. There is a way, and that is what they did back then too. My mom was always changing and moving around our house, but she never bought anything new. She just made things with what we had. She would sew new covers and cushions or curtains with, out of bed sheets and stuff like that. And and she really liked to change because her moods were changing. She just wanted something different. So it is possible to change your surroundings without having to buy new. Then, there are, other things where circumstances might change, where you have to move into a really small place for a while, and you might have to get rid of your things, or you can get a storage. But there's all kinds of different circumstances where it might cause you to have to get rid of things and then replace them once, and that is unavoidable. That I can understand. But the majority of people, especially back then, people kept what they had and only replaced it if it was absolutely, absolutely necessary. And now I just don't think that's the case. So it's not about things not lasting anymore. It's about people just replacing things before the time has come for that it is no longer good anymore. I know that my Oma still has her furniture from like when I was little, and it was even older then, but she's never bought new furniture ever. And my mom, she still has her very first dining table that she bought when she first moved out in the 70s. It's a glass round top. It's really cool, actually. I should take a video one of these days of her house again. But yeah, it's glass top with brass holder, and it just sits on top. You have to be careful, like, and not lean on it because the whole thing comes up. But anyways, that's besides the point. And she still has her couches that she got when she first moved into this house, which was in 2003, so almost 20 years ago now. And no plans to replace anything. The only thing she did buy herself was a bed, because that was the one thing she never actually did have. After my parents split up, she never had a real bed up until she moved out into this new house. Well, new in 2003, and it wasn't even new. But anyways, getting off topic. But yeah, people did keep what they had, they made do, and they were able to make changes without spending any money. Now, people are not content with their lives. We're not happy with whatever might be going on in the world or in our own lives. And with all the advertisements telling us that, a new hairstyle or not maybe a hairstyle, we're talking about things here, but, a new renovation or new furniture or a new phone or new TV or the latest computer, the newest gadget and gizmo is what will make you feel better. It will make you happy. Not true. It does not make you happy. It might bring you a small dose of the feeling of joy, but it doesn't last. It really doesn't. It really does not. And stop looking at things for happiness, because it will never end. And the next thing that we a lot of times do now is purchasing the cheapest item instead of the best option. it's not to say that sometimes the cheapest option isn't, doesn't mean that the cheapest option is always the worst, but if you're just looking price-wise, then a lot of times it isn't going to be the best. You can find high quality used items though, and even the cheap stuff though. If you like, I still have items from the dollar store that I bought from when I was a child, like decorations and stuff like that, and I have kept them, and that was 30 years ago. I still have stuff from the dollar store from 30 years ago. And even stuff when I first moved out, which is, almost 20 years ago. So, yeah, things can last if they are taken care of, even if they're cheap. I wouldn't recommend, buying earphones or something like that from the dollar store. But, yeah, definitely things can last. It's all about taking care of what you have. It's really what it comes down to. Because if you treat stuff well and take care of it, keep it clean and maintain it, even cheap dollar store things will last you. And another thing to note is that people just didn't have as much stuff back in the 50s or, before that, and I would say, around that time. I think in the 80s, that's when consumerism really took hold of people. But before that, people really didn't have as much as we have now. And they took pride in everything they did own. And like I said before, they really took care of it. And when we have so many things in our homes, and every single thing that you own, it needs to be taken care of. Books and movies and DVDs need to be put back to where they go. They need to be dusted. Things need to be cleaned. Everything needs to be maintained. So if you think about that, if you have a lot of things, every single item that you bring into your home, that is another thing taking up time in your life. Because it's going to be needed to be maintained and cleaned and taken care of. And it's also going to need a space to be put away. And that was the thing they had. They always had a space for everything that they owned, and everything was, like I said, they took pride in everything. And now also, another note, children, I have children of my own, so I know this. They absolutely need to be taught that everything that they own, every toy, every piece of clothing, and everything in your home is valuable. You need to teach them that the dollar store toy that they have is just as valuable or should be treated just the same as the $100 item or toy that they might have. Because if they can't take care of a dollar store toy, do you think they're going to be any gentler on a $100 toy just because it's cost $100? They have no concept of what things cost. So they just, from a very young age, I taught Isabel that everything is valuable and it needs to be taken care of. You can't roughly play with things and jam things and things. And I'm doing that with Wyatt now. He's a year old and he's starting to understand. And you can't. I have friends and relatives that I see all the time how rough their kids are with things, and it just makes me cringe a little bit because it's like, really, you cannot just let your kids destroy things because they're kids. It's not true, and it's not right. They can be taught that things need to be respected. They need to be respectful for their own things just as well as everybody else's things when they go into the store or into another person's home. Respect is key, and if they're not going to respect their own things, they're never going to learn to be able to take care of things when they're older either. So, teaching children at a very young age. And I know that people back then, they definitely did this, and they did not let their children run around like, crazy animals. So, the last few notes I wanted to make, I know this video is getting long, but if you really think about it this way also, for every $1 not spent, that's $1 more that you don't have to earn. Yeah, you don't have to. If you are constantly replacing things because you or your children are breaking them or losing them, that's another thing. Losing things is the worst. But if you're breaking things and losing things and you're replacing these items, you are literally, just pulls at my strings, and it's really frustrating. You really have to think about that, When people say, oh, well, it's not that much to replace. It's only $5 or $20 to replace this toaster. But just think about it. Would you just take the $20 and throw it outside? Probably not. So just think about it that way. Every time you break something or need to replace it, you have to go out and work to earn that money now. So it's much easier, or maybe not easier, but cheaper to take care of what you already have. Treat everything as if it is $100 or more. Even your cheapest things. Treat everything you have with respect, and don't have the replacing disposable mentality. Think everything you have is worthy to take pride in, and is worthy of your time to take care of it. And if you don't have the time to take care of the things that you have, then maybe you just have too much stuff. I'm going to leave off there, but I just wanted to say it is spring here, and I wanted to leave you all with a memory of mine. One of my favorite memories of spring is in the very early morning when you wake up and you go outside and all the puddles have frozen, have that layer of frozen ice on top. The most satisfying thing, and I just did it today when we went outside, was, just slowly crunch on the ice. Who here has ever done that? I love it. I still love it, and I am 36 years old. I think I'm 36 years old. But yeah, it's so satisfying. What are your favorite spring memories? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this super long video. As always, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. And I hope you all have a frugabulous weekend. And don't forget, if you don't already know, I do have a P.O. box now. I will link it in the description box below. And yeah, send me a letter and I will be your new pen pal. Bye!